Edge is a big position of need for the Packers in the draft. Join us as we explore edge players who could be Green Bay Packers come April and the ones who probably will not be.
Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby. It's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm cash.
All right, everybody, welcome back into another episode of Sounds Gouda. My name is Jordan Olson, and my co-host and best friend over here is Rob Ralph. We want to thank our new and returning listeners for being here and talking Packers football with us again. And just a reminder, we have new episodes every Wednesday and Saturday on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And today we continue our prospect deep dive, and we are getting into our edge prospects coming out of free agency. We know that edge was one of the positions that has been untouched, but one of the most biggest areas of need for the Green Bay Packers if we're going to improve this offseason. So with that, I'm going to throw it over to Rob. Why don't we talk a little bit about what's on the roster right now, and then we can dive into what our options are in the draft.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. So unless you've been living underneath a rock or you truly do not follow the Green Bay Packers, the current edge room for them is Rashawn Gary, Kingsley Enagbare, LVN, the man known as Lucas Van Ness, and Brenton Cox Jr., and the speedster Aaron Mosby. So this is obviously a part of a bigger series. If you want to tune in, shameless plug, we had the wide receiver one that came out this last Wednesday. So we'll think that you will enjoy that. But this is kind of how it's going to go. We are not going to be discussing obvious prospects that will go in the top 15, i.e. Abdul Carter, just because he won't ever be on the Packers' radar. We do have these in tiers. And our tiers are like this. They have white is incomplete profile, or there's just not enough information to be able to make a determination. Red is too many red flags, and it is most likely the Packers would not take them, maybe unless it's like a complete flyer in the back half of the draft, maybe the 7th round, but most likely not. Orange, our orange tier has multiple flags, so again, too, most likely will not end up taking unless it's the back half of the draft. Gold is where you start getting into some good data here, but only one concern for what we found, but would be a great prospect here for the Packers. And then green would be our 100% Packers thresholds and types. So probably asking, what are our thresholds? Well, based on historical data and where the Packers have selected certain players is how we've gathered this information throughout the year. And but a 10-yard split less than 1.65, a broad jump greater than 10 feet, 3-cone less than 7 seconds. The weight's got to be around 255 or greater. And then they do like an arm length of greater than 34 inches. All right, so jumping into some of these prospects, starting with the white or the incompletes, but RJ Oben from Notre Dame, 6'3", 255 pounds. Again, just not much information, an incomplete profile on him. Princely Umanmielen from Ole Miss. Big concern here is he's very light, 244 pounds to be exact. Josiah Stewart from Michigan. A couple of cons here too for that made him in the red part, but 6'1". So short and light at 249 pounds was the other one. K'Wan Rucker from UNC on the shorter side at 6'1". So that was a big red flag. Ashton Gillette for him. Shorter arms, 31 7/8 inch, and also 6'2". So right as far as that threshold goes. And then Antoine Powell Ryland for Virginia Tech. A couple of big ones here, though, but 6'2". Shorter arms at 31 1/4, and then a 10.4-inch broad jump. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jordan to talk about our next tiers.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Rob. So now, we have our visual, right? And as Rob said, maybe someday we'll make this visual available to people. We got a little bit of work to do. We got a little bit more information to collect. And so again, put in the comments if you're interested that you would be, you'd like access to this data. And the Sounds Good team, we can figure out if we can make that happen for you. All right. So kind of getting into our orange tier. So these are prospects that are, really good prospects for a lot of reasons, but they maybe have, a thing or two that the Packers typically don't like, whether it's in their athletic testing, it's their size and weight. So starting at the top of the draft, guys that could be in range, and at one point in time, James Pierce Jr. was not a guy who was in range, but he's had some character issues that have come up, and I've seen him fall down the board into the 20s potentially. I think that the Packers will not draft him, though, because not only does he have character issues, and the Packers typically don't mess around with that, he's only 245 pounds, so he's feather light.
Yeah.
He's a prospect from Tennessee that a lot of people are going to be interested in, and probably somebody's going to get a steal. It's going to be like a Mike Parsons player, but he's probably not going to be a Green Bay Packer.
Mike Green, my beloved Mike Green here from Marshall, but not a lot of information for him, but I think a couple of the biggest ones. And again, too, like Jordan was talking about with James Pierce Jr., character issues. Mike Green has got legal issues, and he's on the lighter side at 251, even though I think he'll end up being really good. But those are two major red flags. So as much as I want the Packers to grab him, insert any sort of character issues or legal issues, or maybe even on the lighter side, and maybe even some shorter arms too at 32 inches. I just don't think, both Jordan and I don't think that that the Packers will select him. So.
Yeah, love him. A month ago, I think he would have been in at least the gold tier. But, some of these things are probably just going to push him away from the Packers. So one of the big darlings right now for the Packers is Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College. There's a lot to like here. He's young. He's only 21 years old. He's got great tape. He's got violent hands. However, he's a guy, again, the Packers sticking within their thresholds. The Packers like their guys at least 6'3", and greater than 255 pounds, and at 48, I would be surprised if the Packers took a small speed guy. Goody said again that they're not going to just start drafting for scheme fits because things change so much in the NFL. So a lot of people are going to be interested in Ezeraku. I wouldn't get your hopes up on it. So he's in our orange tier right now. Also a 7.99 RAS. So he didn't test as good as the tape would show, which is just outside that like 8.0 threshold, but they're definitely going to draft somebody in the first round who's over an 8 RAS if history shows us.
Yeah, moving on down to David Walker, projected around the 4th round from Central Arkansas. A little bit on the shorter side at 6'1", shorter and heavier, 265. Does have a RAS here of 8.53. Ran a 4.69 40. It's got a 1.65 10-yard, 31, almost 32 inches, 31 and 7/8 inches in the broad jump, a 9 foot 10 inches. So he's one here later on that has got some flags, so I don't think they'll take him. And, a small school guy, too. So a lot that is not working for David Walker, and we do not think that the Packers will end up taking him.
Yeah. Hassani from Boise State. Tried my best with that name.
He did well.
Yeah. There's just a lot of things that, he's totally not completely off the radar, but he just started playing football. I saw the story of him on the draft where he's like talking to people from Texas A&M, and he's like, tell me where that ATM school is. So, he's very much still like learning because he's seeing ATM on the helmet, right? You've seen Texas A&M's helmets, but, very much learning football, the landscape of things. He only had a 6.73 RAS, after his testing at the combine, a little shorter at 6'2". So I think with him still playing catch up and him not being a premium athlete, I just don't think he's the guy the Packers are gonna take.
All right, and then we have Ethan Downs from Oklahoma. Does meet the height and weight. 6'3", 269, almost 270 pounds, 8.65 RAS, ran a 4.69, but has very, very, very short arms, 31 inches, and then his broad jump, 9 feet 11 inches, excuse me. So I think the big one here too, I think out of all these prospects, I could be wrong, but he has the shortest arms out of everybody on this list. Yes, he does.
Creed Humphrey, the Packers seem to make a big deal out of short arms and small hands. So, that's all you need to know about that selection there. So, moving into, so that's the end of our guys with multiple red flags. We don't think they're going to be Packers, but that's just our opinion. You might have another one. Let's move into our gold tier. So these are guys that totally could be drafted by the Green Bay Packers, but certainly at least one deficiency to look out for. So first one on that list is Jack Sawyer, which he's going to go squarely in the second round, and he's probably one of the safer picks in the draft. He's probably a guy who's going to consistently walk into 6 sacks every season of his career. I just don't know if he's ever going to be a 10-sack guy. So he meets the threshold, 6'4", 260. His arms are a little bit on the shorter side at 31 inches, 31 3/4 inches. And I also have questions about his top end speed. He didn't do a lot of athletic testing at the combine, so we'll see what things look like at his pro day, but not totally opposed to Jack Sawyer. You got to like his college production.
Yeah, absolutely. And played at the big time Ohio State. So could totally understand. And he could end up, being a really good player with a high end motor. So Braden Swinson from LSU. This is one I recently have been turned on by a couple of guys being like, why the heck did you not take Swinson in round 1 in some of our mock drafts? And I think that's a bit rich, but he's projected around 2, maybe possibly round 3. He is moving up the draft board, so to say, but 6'3", 255 pounds, 33 3/8 arm length for him. We do not have data profile on him for the rest of him, but a very, very, very good pass rush. It almost would fit better in a 3-4. Has very long arms, has a good burst both laterally and linearly. Decent speed and bend around the arc too for Braden Swinson. I think that he could immediately come in and contribute. Where I would have some of my issues with him is I think that he'll end up getting taken advantage of in the run game quite a bit. We know that was quite a big emphasis too for Hafley's defense, but if you're looking at him just as pass rush specialist or in certain situations, this guy has about all the tools that you would need. I believe if you did get him, second, third, maybe later rounds, you get really good value for Braden Swinson.
Yeah, and I mean, we also don't have a complete athletic profile on him at this point in time. So, maybe if he shows out like people expect, maybe he will be a back of the first end prospect if he has a great 40 time and a 10-yard split to match his tape. But we'll see. Kyle Kennard is a prospect from South Carolina that I really like. The only thing that I question is he's close to that weight threshold at 254. So again, what is his fit in this scheme? He's also a little bit on the older side at 23 years old already. So to take a day 2 prospect, that's a little bit older. It's typically something the Packers don't like to do. They did it with Devontae Wyatt, but that's about it. He's 6'4" at a 8.47 RAS. There's a lot of reports about him being a very mature player, high football IQ guy. He's explosive off the snap. So really his big red flags would be he's older and what does he fit like in this 4-3 system. So
yeah, and then Elijah Roberts from SMU, 6'3", 285 pounds.
Dense, yeah.
That's a big dude. 4.78. He ran for the 40 time, 1.67 on the 10-yard, 33 5/8 inch arms here too. And then his broad jump, not quite as good as you would like, 9 foot 8 inches, but really, really, really big. And if I'm taking a quick look at what he's done, he has an amazing pass rush win rate. So similar to Braden Swinson, who we just talked about. Both his true sets, for pass rush grades. For his 2024 and his run defense grade is really, really good. I think the big kind of cons here for him are his ideal length, twitch, size, and bend for him are some of the biggest ones for him. But, he's very dense, he's very big, and does have experience at many spots on the defensive line and very explosive for his side. But again, explosive, but maybe not twitchy and as athletic.
I kind of wonder if he's a guy that's kind of a tweener, right? And I mean, like you put 5 more pounds on him at 6'3", 290, and he'd be a very athletic defensive tackle prospect. could have versatility off the line. Kind of imagine he could be kind of maybe like a Colby Wooden.
Yeah.
With a little bit more upside. I don't know, just something to think about there. Maybe not if we haven't addressed edge or defensive interior fully, maybe a guy in the third round that might be worth thinking about. Oh, moving into the later parts of the draft, day 3, we got a few prospects for you. One of those guys is Tyler Batty from BYU. I love his frame, 6'5", 271. That's very much a Packers type. His frame, he's built like Lucas Van Ness, although I'm not sure he's like as solid as Lucas Van Ness, but he's built density-wise like Lucas Van Ness, an 8.7 RAS score. Got 33-inch arms, 10-foot broad jump. So he checks all the boxes for the Green Bay Packers. If they double dip at that position, go ahead and let's say we take one of our green tier players, which we're going to share in the future here, like Mykel Williams, come back in the 5th round, take a guy like Tyler Batty. I could see that being a strategy the Packers take.
Tyler Barron from Miami, 23.3 years old, so a little bit on the older side, 6'4", 258 pounds, 9.33 RAS, ran a 4.62, 1.61 for his 10 yards, and then his arms, 33 and 1/8, and then jumped 10 feet 1 inch. But the big thing for him, he does have caliber NFL frame in both height and weight, slightly utilized for an NFL edge, but could put more weight on in his lower half. Too many stamps where he has a false start. He doesn't fire off his foot, so explosiveness. Pass rush moves lack precision and purpose right now, but he is possibly somebody in the later rounds, 5th, 6th, 7th round that could, bring some good value.
Ja Joyner from Minnesota. This is a Senior Bowl guy, 6'4", 262. Ran a 4.640, 34-inch arms. He meets just nearly about everything the Packers are looking for, except for his 10-yard split's a little bit on the slow side, so he's probably got a little bit more top-end speed when he gets out on the open field, but 1.67 is a little beyond the Packers' threshold for that initial get-off. So just something to keep in mind there. But the Packers do like their Senior Bowl guys. Not be surprised if with really only one red flag, the Packers take a flyer on him later in the draft.
Olawufemi Aladeju.
Nice.
From UCLA, 6'3", 259 pounds. Not much other data here that I think we were able to collect, but 33 and 3/8 inch arm, 10-foot broad jump. Again, too, he's one for the 5th or 6th round. It ends up looking like, but does win with athleticism and quickness as a run defender. Plays with effort to the whistle. Long arms to keep blockers at a distance, but some quick cons here. Not a fully polished pass rusher yet, I don't think. And then still inexperienced at the edge position too. Only 10 starts in college. So just another one for the Packers to look out for in the latter round.
Yeah, I just question his fit in our scheme as well. Is he more of a stand-up outside guy? Not really what we're looking at to bolster that defensive line edge group kind of right now, which is the same to be said for our last gold tier guy. But Johnny Walker Jr. is a guy that I really like from Mizzou, 6'3", 255. He's explosive. At one point in time, he was profiled to maybe go in the 4th or 5th round. It looks like he's kind of fallen down the draft boards a little bit, could be had in the 7th round. We also are owed some testing from him still, so we'll see what happens at his pro day. Maybe he's going to put some eye-popping numbers up that are going to really make us consider taking him in the 6th or 7th round and maybe diversifying this room a little bit. And that's probably where the Packers are going to take a gamble on diversifying the room a little bit with some more speed to power guys, some smaller guys is late in the draft. So, all right. Green tier guys, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys that we really think could be Green Bay Packers. So let's jump in.
Yeah, the first one. And I will be surprised if he did making it to pick 23, but very Packery. More Packeries than I think probably almost anyone, also considering he's from Georgia. But Mykel Williams, extraordinarily young. He's not even 21 yet, so looks like he's will be turning 21 here soon. 6'5", 260 pounds, 4 3/8 inch arms, but what isn't there to like about Mikael Williams? Played in the Power SEC, is an elite run defender, is violent and fast, and he does have a great build for an edge player, weight, length, and his arms are NFL caliber. Good understanding of the advantages of his arm length too. Some cons on him: he needs to develop more counters. Consistently one of the last linemen out of his stance, which I know that can be an issue. Insert Travis Kelce here from the last Super Bowl. Shameless plug there, but hands are active, but could be more purposeful and precise. So, you're always going to find a few cons here and there. I would absolutely be ecstatic if there's any way that we could get Mikael Williams. And for me, and I think a good comp would be shades of Jermaine Johnson. So watch out for Mikael Williams if he does end up falling to.
Yeah, a big name that you're going to know already, but Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M. He's 21 years old. He's 6'5", 267. At a 10 RAS score. Now, again, there's a lot of not fully complete athletic profiles here. He kind of cheated because he didn't, there was a few things that he didn't do. I know there's a lot of discussion that you shouldn't be allowed to get like a 10 RAS if you didn't complete every one of the testing, because it's kind of a cheat code. Like, yeah, I'm just going to not do the one or two tests that I know is going to like pull my score down, which I'd imagine is a strategy that a lot of these guys are doing at the combine, or they wait till their pro days and they get another month to try to increase their scores. But with Shamar Stewart, complete absolute freak. I think the only thing that he's the kind of guy that Goody's going to like. He's a physical specimen. The biggest thing to be scared about him is his college production. He only had like 4.5 sacks in his entire college career. And clearly he's got a lot left to learn. But being young, you hope you could develop him as a first-round prospect. And as Rob said with Mikael Williams, I'd be a little surprised if he made it to pick 23.
Yeah, and just looking at the other side of that too for Shamar Stewart really quick, but he has said that his lack of production came from the scheme and what they were running there for Texas A&M. Going back and watching some of that tape, I easily see that, but I also see somebody who's just a little completely athletic, but a little bit lost there as far as his pass rush ability goes at this moment. That's just my opinion. So, Nick Skellerton from Texas A&M, another Texas A&M prospect. Younger, 20 and a half years old, 6'3", 257 pounds, a little bit shorter for the arms here, a little bit of a yellow or a caution, but 33 inches, but extremely nice bend, can rush on the interior. Mini pass rush moves, almost feels like second nature, right? Does have savviness to be able to get skinny between blockers, which is really nice. Great eyes for where the ball is going. Some cons for him: loses the edge contain by crashing down too often, isn't as violent defending the run as he could be, and loads and launches off his back foot, and sometimes plays with a higher pad level too. But this is somebody also as well, that's got a lot of versatility, could play in a 3-4 or in a 4-3. I think he does have that kind of hybrid mentality, and I think that, he's been mocked to the Packers quite a bit, and I would be in love with this pick. I would like it quite a bit. And he's also got comparisons or shades of Shaq Lawson. So watch out for Nick Skellerton, another big Texas A&M player for the Packers in round one.
I wouldn't be surprised if between the two Texas A&M guys we just talked about, if Nick Skellerton had a better NFL career. So Landon Jackson from Arkansas is our next green tier guy.
Big guy.
Yep. Big guy, 22 years old, 6'6", 264. So again, in that Lucas Van Ness mold, 9.95 RAS. He's one guy who did nearly every test, had a great broad jump at 10 feet, 9 inches. And why do the Packers care about the broad jump? They feel like that demonstrates the explosion required from an edge player in the lower half, right? So Shamar Stewart had a great broad jump. Landon Jackson has a great broad jump. Landon Jackson also just kind of meets that 10-yard split time at 1.65. He's a guy that I think if you watch him on tape, he wins with power a lot. I don't know that he's going to, I have a little questions about, is he like exactly like LVN? Does he win with this bull rush more than he wins with a counter move or a second or third move? I honestly have to watch a little bit more about him. He was a Senior Bowl invite, kind of had a weird week at the Senior Bowl where he didn't pop in practice, but then clearly popped in the game with multiple sacks. So Landon Jackson is somebody that is very much on the Packers' radar, in my opinion.
JT Tuamalo from Ohio State, almost 22 years old, 21.8, 6'4", 265 pounds with 33 and 3/4 inch arms. But he is a true 4-3 defensive man, and that's what they played over there at Ohio State. Powerful first step with few, if any, false steps. Can get low and powerful in pre-snap and in his stance. Strong legs that moves the offensive line beyond the first contact. He is an elite run defender. For what I'm saying, he could get better at his pass rush win rates or win rush sets. Couple of cons here really quick. Ability to corner is limited due to lack of speed and bend, and anticipation can be a tick slow at times, but otherwise plays at an elite school and an elite conference in the Big Ten. Obviously, they just won the championship too, so I know that we have taken him before in a couple of mocks, but again, too, maybe another type of comp for him would be shades of Quiddy Pay.
Jared Ivey from Ole Miss, 23 years old, 6'5", 274. He's got a bevy of pass rush moves. He's a bit older, though, at 23. He's got heavy feet, and he's reactive at times. He was another Senior Bowl guy. JTT, Jared Ivey, these are guys that are in that second round range, back end of the second round. So look out for Jared Ivey. I think he, from a frame standpoint, somebody the Packers going to like. When we see his testing, I guess we're going to see if he meets the speed, the 10-yard split and some of those things, because on tape he does look like he gets stuck in the mud at times. So
Jordan Birch here from Oregon, projected around the third or fourth round. 23, almost 23 and a half years old, 6'4", 279, almost 280 pounds. Ran a 4.67, 1.66, 10-yard split with 33-inch arms, but just an absolute athletic freak. Very big, and somebody that, we've occasionally thought about, trying to get here in some of our mock drafts, but obviously massive measurables for this edge position. Definitely fits best in a 4-3 defensive end because he's just a bruiser, but very nice first step, explosive for his side, extremely low and missed tackle percentage. Just real quick here, a couple of cons. Needs a more pass rush plan before the ball is snapped. Hands lack purpose and lacks the true bend and athleticism, an outside shoulder with speed that you'd get with some of those other not quite as heavy defensive ends or maybe pass rush specialists, but definitely somebody I'd be very intrigued for the Packers to get, especially in our system, and has shades of Matthew Judon.
His testing doesn't match that for me. Like, he tested not slow, so I wonder on tape when that shows up that he doesn't quite have that burst or that speed. His testing numbers show me that he's capable of that. Just wondering why that's showing up on tape. Baron Sorrell from Texas, another guy who's maybe a little bit more of a 3-4 fit, but somebody I think the Packers will really like athletically. This is a fourth round projection. But he's 6'3", 256, 9.25 RAS. I need to watch a little bit more tape about him or on him, but he's got explosion in the lower half. He's strong. He had a great broad jump at the NFL Combine, played at a blue blood program. Somebody who I think is going to check a lot of boxes for the Green Bay Packers. And as we watch a little bit more tape, we will see if he stays in this green tier for us.
Yeah, Savon Jones from LSU, 21.7 years old, 6'5", 280 pounds. Big dude here. He's somebody I was turned on to a little while ago, but 33.5 inch arms, 9'11" broad jump, but very powerful. For him, he does have a relentless motor, does bring a lot of effort on every play, had some tackling issues throughout his career, plays too off balance as well, but Savion Jones is somebody that the Packers could look at as far as the back half of the draft goes.
Yep, and a late guy that I like for the Packers, 6th, 7th round, maybe even UDFA, Fadil Diggs from Syracuse, 6'4", 257, had a 9.7 RAS score. His arms are not quite 34 inches long, but they're almost there, and he had over a 10-foot broad jump. He has quick feet and powerful hands, so I like his frame. I like his athletic ability. I think if the Packers, again, want to double dip, he'd be a great late guy for the Green Bay Packers. So that is our list. So just a reminder that our recap of our green tier prospects right now, as of March 18th. When we're recording this is Michael Williams from Georgia, Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, Nick Scorton from Texas A&M, Landon Jackson from Arkansas, JTT from Ohio State, Jared Ivey from Ole Miss, Jordan Birch from Oregon, Barron Sorrell from Texas, Savion Jones from LSU, and Fidel Diggs from Syracuse.
Well, we appreciate it, Packers fans. Thank you, as always. Let us know. We put a lot of effort and energy into getting this data out for you guys. So let us know if that's something you guys would like to, take a peek at here someday and be able to offer that to you guys. Also, too, let us know what you think. Maybe we highlighted a player that you really like, maybe somebody you didn't, or maybe we missed somebody you thought, would be for the Green Bay Packers. So just know that we do have new content every Wednesday and Saturday on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Jordan and I are on socials. I am at Sounds Gouda with 3 A's, and Jordan is at Olsen Jord. But we appreciate it, and we look forward to continuing the series. It's definitely been a blast, and we will see you guys next time. And we hope that you have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good night. Take care. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack.
Been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the